Alright guys, it's been a while since my last video, but I feel I've given myself enough time to play the game now. I've taken some time to sit down and think about it. I've got my notes here, I've got 2 pages worth. And this is a review of WWE 13, as I highlighted in my previous video. I just want to outline that this is a review, but it can also be deemed as constructive criticism towards THQ and WWE Games, because to be honest, it's not going to be pretty. I'm not going to blow smoke up their arse. I have nitpicked at pretty much everything I feel is relevant. So this is my one person's review on WWE 13. Right, so as I said, this can be deemed as constructive criticism towards THQ and WWE Games, because I'm not going to dress this up, not going to blow smoke up their arse. I'm going to give my honest opinion on the game and how I feel about it. A lot of people start with the Attitude Era. I'm going to start with gameplay, because that's the whole core of a game. You want to have something that's fun and enjoyable to play. In my honest opinion, the gameplay is pretty much exactly the same as it has been in previous few years. The controls have remained the same, obviously different from the very first SmackDown game on the PS1. It's exactly the same, as long as you've mastered the reversal system, which they, let's say, kindly reduced just to 1 button rather than the 2 trigger buttons, as they did in one game, or maybe 2. Yeah, they reduced it down to 1 button. As long as you can master that, you're pretty much good for reversals. And honestly, I think the gameplay, this is a good point, the gameplay is quite fun as long as you can master the reversals. Pretty nice and simple. You can do quite a few things. Obviously you get some situations where it's a bit glitchy. Something that was highlighted in reviews I saw of the game before I played it, which I can confirm, when you're doing some moves and the camera angle changes, the gameplay slows down, so it's like as if you're getting that whole Matrix effect from SmackDown 4. I believe it was SmackDown Shut Your Mouth on the PS2. So it's kind of like that. It doesn't swirl around, but it slows down as if it's going in slow motion. That can be a little bit annoying, but it's not that much of a big deal because it doesn't freeze up the game. But the gameplay is pretty fun and wholesome. Can't complain too much there. Right, next on my checklist is the models and animations. For me, I'm really nitpicking here, but honestly, you want to have the best game you can have. For me, some of the character animations are quite poor. Let's say, for example, something that's always stuck in my craw. I think they've used this entrance animation for at least the past 4 games. That's just off the top of my head, but Stone Cold Steve Austin's entrance. This is a game obviously based on this limited edition cover that is based around Stone Cold, since he was one of probably the biggest character within the Attitude Era. And I just feel that they could have made an effort to maybe redo his entrance animation. It's the same thing. Stone Cold isn't the same one. They've regurgitated a lot of the entrances, like Paul White or the original Big Show. He's just got last year's Big Show animation, which is pretty poor. I mean, they could have just done a simple one. He walks out, sticks his hand in the air to symbolise the choke slam when he gets in the ring. There's no pyro. Had to edit that myself. Trying to think off the top of my head, quite a few of the divas are the same. I suppose they don't probably put as much attention to them, which is a shame. You got the current era of The Rock. He's got the same one from last year, which I thought maybe after the big fight he had with John Cena at WrestleMania last year, or this year, sorry, my mistake, they could have maybe redone that, where he sort of jumps around on the stage entrance. Just something to make it a little bit more different and make it a bit more epic, but it's just the same thing. But the Stone Cold one, I have a problem with that, because I'm a big Stone Cold fan. You can see I'm wearing one of his shirts here. But he just walks out too fast, a bit too upright. It was in SmackDown 5, I think, Here Comes the Pain. I thought that entrance animation was perfect. He looked from side to side, shouting trash as he did, and just the sort of walking animation, it was better than this one, let's say. I don't know if it was perfect, but in my opinion it was better than this one. So, entrance animations, a lot of regurgitation there. I think they could have redone some of them. Some of the models look horrific. The one that pops into mind straight away is Beth Phoenix. Just her hair, like I say, maybe they didn't put too much attention to the divas, which is a shame if that is the case. I'm not saying anything. But her character model just looks awful in my opinion. It doesn't really look like her. She looks too short. Maybe it's based on her actual height, but just for me, the hair and everything, it just doesn't look like her. Another one, original Paul White, looks a bit naff. Can't think of any more off the top of my head. I probably should have put some more preparation into that, but it's another bad point, I'm afraid. Alternate attires, this is something that really gets me. It's good that within the Attitude Era, which I'll cover in a bit, a lot of the characters have different attires based on certain things that happen. Like, for example, you got Stone Cold, he's got a white Austin 316 shirt, which is great. The Rock's got his workout gear, which he used in '99, I believe, when he was fighting Mankind. Like, for example, at Royal Rumble '99, he wrestled in that because he was having surgery on his pecs, I believe. So that's good. But other than events that are covered in the Attitude Era, they don't really cater to just general things. Like, for example, I would have thought maybe that The Rock would have one of his typical $500 shirts that he always did promos in before, because that back in the day, that was one of his trademarks, the $500 shirts and everything like that. Even in No Mercy on the N64, he even had that. You could buy that in the WWE shop. But what gets me is I'm someone who creates a lot of, or puts a lot of effort into creating stories. I'm going to cover this as well. But I did a story based around The Rock, Stone Cold, and Triple H. The Rock, when he's cutting promos, I could have him in his workout gear, which is alright, but I'd rather have a $500 shirt. It looks a bit more authentic. Triple H, all he's got is his wrestling attire. Like, I'm using the current Triple H because that's his attire there, the trunks, is basically what he had in mid-99 and so on, when he first won the WWE title, WWF title, right? But yeah, just having him cut promos in his wrestling gear, it just looks naff. T-shirt and jeans, that will do. You know, maybe I did watch one of the Q&A videos where the guy said that it takes a lot to create a character model and so on. I can appreciate that, but you could, if you're doing a lot of regurgitation, I suppose you could just throw in something from one of the previous games. I don't know how it works. I'm not a game programmer, but constructive criticism, yeah. Some moves look stiff and odd, like the rock bottom doesn't look as epic. Maybe if you looked around a bit or something. He just quickly goes into the rock bottom and the sound of the impact doesn't sound too great. Stone Cold Stunner, a lot of love here for Stone Cold, Steve Austin's character, but the Stone Cold Stunner looks too stiff. It just doesn't look free flowing. You got the, let's say, the unlucky opponent, they do the flip, which is something that The Rock always used to do and a couple of others have done. That's cool, I like that, but it just looks so stiff when he does the gut kick, turns around and slams their chin on his shoulder. I can't really describe that without actually having game footage, but like I said, I haven't got the technology to put in game footage. And animations in story mode, create story mode, a lot of it's the same. There's quite a few new ones. For example, one that quickly comes to mind is the Rattlesnake Revival, and it's basically just, you've got two opponents in the ring, Stone Cold comes in, kicks the crap out of them, goes in the corner, does his arms in the air thing, so that's pretty good. So you've got a few in there, but a lot of them are just exactly the same, so not too much of a step up there in my opinion. Right, this is the part where I go into modes. So first off, the Attitude Era mode. The biggest draw of this game, as it replaces the Road to WrestleMania, which we've seen in the past few games. This is literally the draw of the game in my opinion. Without this, it would just, I'm going to get onto this later, but this is the hook for me. It's the best new feature of the game, full stop. That's basically my point of this part. It's a little all over the place. I thought from the start, when I first heard about it, I thought you're going to get pretty much, say, every Raw in between every pay-per-view, doing key events and so on, but sometimes it jumps from one pay-per-view to another. For example, I'm trying to think, WrestleMania 14, you had the Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels WWE title match with Mike Tyson, and then after that you had Undertaker and Kane. Now we all know that the WWE title match was the main event back in those days, and especially at that pay-per-view, that's a fact. I suppose it's mainly because the good thing about this, it goes in continuity, so all characters' stories go in chronological order as to what actually happened in real life. So I believe off the top of my head, after the Stone Cold won at WrestleMania 14, it goes into Undertaker and Kane's story. So that I suppose that kind of makes sense to have that match after the Stone Cold Shawn Michaels match at WrestleMania 14. But if you just want to get too nitpicky, you could have had the Undertaker Kane match beforehand and the Stone Cold Shawn Michaels one afterwards, because that was the main event of the pay-per-view. But that's just a small thing, I suppose. So I give real credit there for actually having a chronological story arc in the Attitude Era mode. That was really well done, so credit for that. Yeah, in matches you get match objectives and timers. That adds a good challenge rather than just a mindless beating your opponent up. You got stuff like, for example, put your opponent through the announce table, win within 2 minutes, get their damage meter to critical, so on and so forth. So rather than just going in, beating the crap out of them, pin 1, 2, 3, that's it, you have objectives. So that can add a bit of fun, a bit of challenge, and a bit more playability to the mode. Another small problem is the arenas. Although they are great, like a lot of them were regurgitated. Like now, always got the LED lights for the staging. A lot of them, for example, let's say King of the Ring 98, King of the Ring 99, and Royal Rumble 99. They all had the circular staging with the little ramp. So they've done that well. But the only thing is, the entrances, rather than being bent, where let's say the wrestler comes out here, walks that way, and then straight down to the ring. They're not like that. They're all completely straight. I don't know how much program would have to go into that, but if they did have the bent and realistic entrances, I suppose the entrance animations would have to change as well to have the characters walk sideways then straight. Whereas if they're just straight, they can just use the same thing, which is fair enough. I mean, but if there was more time, more funding, maybe they could have altered that, so then the entrance animations are different for those arenas. The very first match I played was Stone Cold and Undertaker at SummerSlam 98 with the Smoking Skull title, because I bought the fan access, so I got that straight away. And I was a bit disappointed that the wrestlers never came through the swinging cage doors. I remember in WrestleMania 2000 on the N64, they actually had that feature and the cage doors open. I thought that's pretty cool. When I first saw the pay-per-view as well, I thought that was brilliant. I was kind of expecting that, especially because it was a straight entrance. It was Madison Square Garden. It wasn't a bent, wonky one. But they didn't have that, so I thought that was a bit disappointing. Once again, I don't know how much programming goes into that, but that's something that could have been improved in my opinion. And the promos with real audio is a very nice touch. Trying to think of one off the top of my head. There was, I think, oh gosh, I can't think of one, but it might have been when Stone Cold fought Dude Love over the Edge. I'm probably wrong here, but they actually used the real audio, so you had Vince McMahon shouting at Stone Cold saying, "You'll never be the WWE champion," with it blanked out, sorry. But yeah, for example, like let's say you got a promo, an epic one, they recreate it in the game and they use the actual audio, so that's a very nice touch, I like that. So, big ups on that. And the video packages in between as well are a nice touch. You get to see some good footage from the old days thrown into the game. They were always saying that this would be a history lesson for younger WWE fans who never watched it back then, and you kind of get that, so appreciate that. Right, sticking with modes, the Universe mode, just a personal preference for me, it's not appealing at all really. It's just something else thrown in. I'd say I'd rather have a season mode like in SmackDown 4 and that, but that would take a whole lot more programming, and I suppose they'd have to sacrifice the Attitude Era or so on. But the Attitude Era was the draw of the game for me, as I've said, so that had to stay in regardless. But Universe mode, since they introduced it, I believe this is the third game it's been in, it's just not been appealing to me. It's just, for me, it's just too random and inconsistent. Like, I haven't really played this one much because it hasn't appealed to me, but in the first one, which was 2010, 11, I don't know what I'm talking about here, but anyway, Universe mode, I played that. I had one time Vince McMahon always interfering in my matches. All he did was interfere. I was thinking maybe there's going to be one time where Vince is doing a little promo or having a match and my character would interfere and get revenge, but there was nothing. And I actually played through all the weeks and he just interfered in 2 of my matches and that was it. I just thought, what's the point of this? It's too random. I suppose they just chuck that in because there's no sort of season mode for any character now. Like in SmackDown 4, you could pick any character and go through the season. previous Road to WrestleManias, there was only a set few characters. Same with the Attitude Era mode, set few characters. And I suppose they just throw that in, really. So for me, nothing's changed there. I believe Paul Heyman worked on some of the stories, but I can't give a fair opinion on that because I haven't played it, but mainly because it hasn't appealed to me, so maybe that's saying something, that's not reaching out to me. Last point on modes, the story creation mode. Since this was introduced, I thought this was a hell of a feature, just because you got so many people saying, oh, if I was the boss I would have done this, I would have done that, so you could do this and that with this mode, sorry. And however, as I've said, a lot of the animations are the same thing, maybe mix it up a little bit. Don't know how much programming that takes, just a thought. One problem I did have, I spent some time creating a good, in my opinion, it was a good storyline. You know, I don't know what other people think, but it revolved around Stone Cold, Rock, Triple H. It was mainly going to be, they finally have that match at Survivor Series that we never got to see because Stone Cold had to go out for neck surgery in 1999 and Big Show won his first WWE title. So it was going to revolve around that. I spent a lot of time trying to making Triple H the bad guy as he was. I put a lot of effort into it. Like for example, in promos, the good thing now you can have wrestlers entrances. So rather than them just appearing in the ring, you can have it so like someone's in the ring and then Stone Cold, let's say, for example, comes out and interrupts, and you can have his entrance to the ring before you go into the promo. So I spent quite a lot of time doing that. Quite a lot of time getting the text right, cutting it down so it fits within the word limit. And when I was playing it through to test it, I use custom music as well. The custom music plays, but when it comes to playing the match with the crowd sounds, as I believe the THQ people have apparently put a lot of effort into improving the sound. I'll get onto this in a minute. There was no crowd sound at all, and I just thought it's a pain in the arse, really. Trying to have a match epic, I've set it up epically in my opinion, and then there's no crowd sound. It's just it just falls flat, and it just doesn't. It takes the appeal out of it for me. And also, I had a couple of matches actually, where once I've won the match, it comes up, your character has won the match by pinfall, submission, whatever. The game just stays there. It doesn't freeze, but you got the characters still moving, the crowd's still moving, maybe there's no sound, but it doesn't progress, so I have to reset my PS3. I don't know what it's like on the Xbox 360, but you can't progress with the story. So I put all that effort into it, and I'm trying to play it through to see what it's like, see if there's any problems, and I just can't carry on with it. So I've done all that for all, really. And I don't know if it would be like that if I uploaded it. So I've done a story now. Because of that, I really can't be bothered to make another one. So for me, that feature's fallen flat this year. You just can't do anything. So that's something that could be improved, as well as new animations, I'd say. And to talk about sound, they're saying that obviously they use the sound from real promos, which is really good, but also the crowd sound. I've heard criticism of this a couple of times. The crowd sound is a bit too loud sometimes. You can't really hear the entrance music, especially if you're playing in this modern era. Maybe the Attitude Era, the crowd were really loud when Stone Cold came out, got a huge pop back in the day. But if you're playing with the current era of wrestlers within the game, the crowd are never that loud. Let's be honest. John Cena, kids cheer for him, yeah, but he gets a lot of boos. The crowd just are nowhere near as good as they were back in the day in terms of egging the entertainers or wrestlers on. Recently, when CM Punk had that big contract signing with Vince McMahon before Money in the Bank, I can remember when he asked Vince McMahon to apologise and he was saying he's sorry, and CM Punk was saying what? Obviously copying Stone Cold, and everyone to this day, even in TNA, sometimes go what when a wrestler's doing a promo, and the crowd were just so quiet, and CM Punk turned to them and said, if ever there was a better time, what? You know, he was expecting them to say what, which would fit, and the crowd were just dead. They had no idea. It seemed like they had no idea what he's talking about. There were probably a few people saying what, but I honestly couldn't hear any off the TV. I just thought, you know, the crowd are never that loud, so it's not realistic, let's say. So that's it for that mode. Okay, THQ brace yourself for another criticism here. Going on to the online playability, the online mode within this game. I'm not usually a person to play online, I'll be honest, because I don't play my console every single day like some people. In comparison, I am shite. For example, Call of Duty, I never play online just because I am extremely terrible. I'm not afraid to admit that. Some people would kick the crap out of me. I'd probably get 1 kill in the whole 20-minute match, let's say. So based on that, I don't really play online. But I know I'll admit I'm a trophy whore here, right? So I like to get all the trophies I can. I platinumed the last WWE 12 game and SmackDown vs. Raw 2010, I believe. So I was gonna look to do the same with this because I paid quite a lot of money for this game. So I thought I might as well get everything I can out of it. So I noticed that a couple of the trophies are based on online playability. You have to get rank 10 and you get a trophy. And I thought, okay, fair enough, this can be tricky, but I'll give it a go. I think I lost my first match, but then I won 2 in a row, and I thought, yes, not bad. And I already ranked up to rank 2 after 2 matches, so I thought, oh, this could be done. So I turned it off there, saved my progress, turned it off. When I went back, my record was completely gone. I was all back to 0. I had no wins, no losses. So I thought, okay, maybe it was a one-time glitch. Tried it again, won 3 matches, I believe. Did the same. I actually went to the options this time and manually saved it myself, as well as the auto-save. When I turned it back on, it was completely gone. So, if that was a one-time glitch, fair enough, it's annoying, but I haven't tried since because I can't be bothered now. If I'm just going to put all that effort into button mashing and doing reversals and not get anything for it, I don't see a point. So for me, that feature falls flat on its face. You can't play online, can't get the trophy, so if that's going to be the case, I for one can never get the trophy and never get a platinum for this game. And that's what trophies are there for, if you're interested in all that shite, to get platinum. Need I say more? However, I will say that so far I haven't had any problems with the servers like in WWE 12, that was horrific. When I've done a search to upload or download whatever, I haven't had the message come up saying WWE servers are not available at this time, try again later. I haven't had that, so credit there, you've actually improved that, so well done. Yet another problem I have is with the creator wrestler. I wanted to do a storyline where I've got one wrestler, they get the crap kicked out of them, and I was going to do a duplicate of that wrestler model and sort of improve them, make them bigger, so then they come back, get revenge on the person who took them out. So I created the original, did a copy. When I tried to edit the copy to make them better, when I tried to say, I did quite a bit. I altered their whole character, body size and everything. It took me about 20 minutes to do. Edited them, appearance and so on. When I go to save, the save bar just freezes there. So I'd wasted another 20 minutes, half an hour of potential playing time, or could have been doing anything, let's say, for all again. I've not really tried this in previous games, but I've never had a problem with saving. So I couldn't... I'd just given up really, but eventually I came around, I thought, let me try something. So what I did a copy, I believe. I can't remember what I did now, but I edited one of the attires. Yes, what I did. My original one, I edited one of the alternate attires to what I wanted to make it, like, different attire. Copied that wrestler, and then I went into the copied one and altered their body there. So I had to work around there, but it's not as simple as it should be, should it? Or is it? Sorry. It's not as simple as it should have been. Not as simple as you would put the features in. Like, for example, if I wanted to do that, use the feature of copying someone and editing them, it just didn't work. I sound like a really cocky bastard here, but I'm trying not to be. This is supposed to be constructive criticism, so everyone should be open to some criticism. You can just bet yourself from this. This is what it's supposed to be. So yeah, that's it for that feature. Now I move on to the DLC, and this is all good. I can't fault the content of DLC at all. You got good characters, you got good Attitude Era characters like Too Cool, Rikishi. DDP is a bit weird because he wasn't there during the Attitude Era per se, but it's cool to have him. But I love the fact that Val Venus is in there, and his entrance is perfect in my opinion. You can't fault that at all. He swings the towel off, puts her on the rope and everything. It's brilliant. So in terms of the characters for DLC, is great. You're going to have new ones like Anthony Cesaro, Ryback, and a couple of others. But so DLC, you've done really good there. I can't fault you there at all, I don't think. I suppose one thing that could have been improved for DLC, but obviously conflicts, some of the people being in TNA is a bit more. I would love to have had Al Snow, D'Lo Brown off the top of my head in the game, but obviously they're in TNA, so I appreciate something can't be done then. But a few divas maybe, like let's say Ivory? Who's Ivory? Ivory and Sable. I don't know what the situation is with Sable, but Ivory, I thought in 1999 when I first started watching wrestling, she was the current women's champion. She was a great champion at the time as well. Jacqueline, I don't know what's happening with her, if she's still contracted or obligated to TNA in some form or fashion. But that's a minor thing, like I say, if they're in TNA, nothing can be done about that. But I would love to have seen D'Lo Brown, Al Snow. There's certainly others, but I can't think of them off the top of my head, but small thing. And it's good as well that for the first time, I believe, you can actually use some of the DLC in created stories, for example, if you bought the fan access, which I have done. I've done for the past 2 years as well, so I could upload created content as well. So yeah, it's good that you can actually, the stuff that you're paying for, you can actually use at this time, even if it is somewhat limited. At least you can use it for a little bit, if that grammatically makes sense. I hope you know what I mean, because I can't be bothered to explain it. If I want to be a real git here, I would ask maybe, because I'm really looking forward to the Undertaker's corporate ministry attire to come out, which is DLC in December next month, I believe. Would it be too much to ask for additional Attitude Era storylines? I would love to have had a story where you were Stone Cold and you take on the corporate ministry. That would have been brilliant. But the Attitude Era mode cuts off at WrestleMania 15, so you don't get any of that. So that would be brilliant in my opinion. Obviously nothing can be done now, but maybe in future you can take that into consideration. Right, last on my list is miscellaneous stuff. I really love the fact that there's a load of titles to choose from. I'm so glad you got the Smoke and Skull title, you got the Rock's Brahma Ball title, I haven't used, but that's cool to have that. You got the Attitude Era title that Triple H first won. Best belt in my opinion, best looking title. You got Winged Eagle, you got quite a lot of the belts. You got the old tag team titles with the silver on it as well as the ones after that, so on and so forth, blah blah blah. Great amount of titles, give you real credit there. There's a lot of logos to use within Universe mode, so you can make your own shows on any day of the week, and you got logos from pay-per-view arenas that aren't actually in the game, but you can still use them. A bit naff if it doesn't have the arena, but yeah, it's just a nice feature to have, I suppose, an extra. A lot of logos for Create an Arena. You got all the WrestleMania logos up to date, I believe. The only thing is, there's not a great deal of stage designs. I really like the fact you can actually customize the stage this time. That's really good. But there's not a great selection. I blagged on about it before. WrestleMania 17, the best WrestleMania in my opinion. I would love to have had a stage design for WrestleMania 17. The logo's in it. There's no stage design, but that would have been brilliant. I would love to have recreated WrestleMania 17 in the storyline or something. As I say, best WrestleMania in my opinion. So that's where that falls short. But can't complain too much about it because the feature is pretty good now that you can edit the stage design. So well done there. Alright, that about covers reviewing all the features within the game in my opinion, and these are now my closing thoughts on the overall game itself. Right, as I've said, for me the biggest draw is the Attitude Era. Without that, this game is exactly the same as some of the previous games. For me, there's no real step up. I paid £65 for this limited edition Stone Cold version. In my opinion, honest opinion, I think I wasted some money. I covered that the case is not the same as in America. You don't get a 3D skull on it, so that's a bit poor in my opinion. Without the Attitude Attitude Era, the gameplay is exactly the same. Some of the features are exactly the same. Without that, this game would be exactly the same. There's no real step up in my opinion. Something I can think of is they just brought out a new trailer for Grand Theft Auto 5 last week. Obviously THQ and Rockstar probably got a load more money to play with, more financial backing than THQ, but from GTA 4 to GTA 5 in the trailers alone you can see there is a massive step up. When GTA 4, when did that come out? I think that I don't know off the top of my head, 2008, might be wrong, but there was a massive step up. They took the time. It looks like they've actually done real improvements. I don't know what deal THQ has with WWE. I'm pretty sure WWE has a deal with them. You have to release a game every year. That's our contract agreement. But if it's not, take some time out. Make a better game. Take time out. Take a year or two out. Work on stuff that can actually improve the gameplay. Like I said, without the Attitude Era, this is exactly the same game for me. I've bought pretty much all of the WWE games since I could, really. I bought WrestleMania 2000 and No Mercy on the N64, Attitude on the N64, Warzone as well, that was the first wrestling game I bought. Bought all the SmackDown games, all the annual ones. I didn't buy Legends WrestleMania, I wasn't interested in that. But I've just bought them regardless. This one I was so looking forward to it once I heard more about the Attitude Era and so on. Without that, it's exactly the same game. The entrances are the same. Entrance animations are poor, too slow, too fast maybe. I'm really gonna consider everything in the next installment of the game before I buy it. I'm not just gonna go needlessly buy it. If there's nothing that entices me, if it looks exactly the same, I'm not gonna buy it. This might just be one person who's changing their mind, but you're potentially gonna lose a sale here. Yeah, in my opinion, I mean, could I do better? Hell no. I'm not a games programmer. I did a bit of games programming at university. I was terrible at it. So I'm not going to say, oh, I could create a better game than you, because honestly I can't. You guys must be so much more knowledgeable than me. There must be a lot of that goes into programming all this stuff. But take the time out, sit down, think, where can you definitely improve this? Make it a better game. Work on it. Take some time out, like I've said. Make it something completely different, something fresh, something that will really capture your audience. Because without the Attitude Era, I'd be really pissed off with it. I'm not just gonna buy the next one if it hasn't got something that's really appealing to me. Even if it's something as small as the Attitude Era or something like that. Again, I don't know what you could think of. Like I said, I'm not a games programmer myself, but even if it's just that, I don't think I'm gonna buy it. It's just the same old shite. You might as well just release DLC to update stuff. So, the problems I highlighted in terms of creating a story online and that, I paid 65 quid for this, and I don't feel it's proper value for money. Grand Theft Auto 5 already looks like it's going to be a complete step up. I'd be willing to pay the full 45 quid, whatever, when it comes out, because you're pretty much guaranteed to get a great game. I felt like I was lured in, really. I don't know how much more I'm going to play it, really, to be honest. Especially if I can't get the trophies, I don't feel obligated to play it, I don't feel interested to play it. So, sort your bloody game out. That's all I can say. Is there anything else I can think of, not off the top of my head? But yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass. I'm going to send this video to all associated accounts with making the game that I can think of. For example, WWE Games, THQ, Corey Ledesma, Aubrey Citizen. Is it Brian Williams? I apologise if I got that wrong. Yeah, I'm going to send that to you. You probably won't watch it. If you do, you probably won't address it, because I've noticed when I've tweeted to, for example, Corey Ledesma, WWE Games, I don't get anything back. You guys only seem to retweet or answer stuff if it's promoting your game, saying something positive about it. Take some negative criticism on board. Sort this game out. Sort this franchise out. Make it better. Make it a game that every single wrestling fan wants to play. I feel like the Attitude Era was something to sucker people in. in my honest opinion, because it's not that much of a step up in the end. So that's about it, really. I apologise if it's too blunt, but I just honestly take it as constructive criticism. Sort it out. This is one person who's quite disappointed with the game in the end. I thought I'd love it, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I spent £65 on this game, and it's £65 is quite a rip-off in my opinion as well, just for a Stone Cold edition. I bought it because of just childhood loyalty, really, and in the end it's not really worth it. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope it's been informative for people who haven't bought the game, if you are watching this. Sorry if it's gone on for too long, but that's my honest opinion. In essence, without the Attitude Era, it's the same game as last year, for example. It's not worth it. Unless you're a hardcore wrestling fan of the Attitude Era and you want that, fair enough, buy it. Other than that, don't bother with it. So anyway, thanks guys. Don't know when my next video will come out. I haven't got any ideas at the moment, sadly. But thanks to all the subscribers, thanks to any new subscribers, people who follow me on Twitter. You guys are awesome. And whenever the time comes, I'll see you in the next video. All the best.